guys. We'll get this started. We don't have Ifeoma here with us right now, but once again, my name is Doyin. This is African Business Club. Our goal is to normalize financial literacy, promote collaboration, and sharing of ideas through networking and education. So today we have a special topic. It's about real estate, and we have three panelists with us today. So we have Kunle Ali. Kunle is a mortgage loan officer. Ifeoma is not quiet with us. She's a real estate agent. And then we have Menad Sampson, which, our first introduction, they will introduce themselves when we get started. So if anybody has any questions, how we're going to do this today, we'll go through, during the week, we send questions, our members to ask us questions, to send questions out. And we pile those questions up and we'll go through those questions with our panelists. But hopefully we'll have some time, which I think we would. Then we'll open the floor for anybody that wants to ask questions to our panelists. They're all experts in their field. So feel free to ask them any questions. And even if you don't get to ask them a question here, you can always send us an email, africanbusinessclub2020@gmail.com, or DM us, or I will have the panelists share their information later, and you guys can also reach out to them directly. So we'll get started. And I know like I said, we have Menad and Kunle with us. We'll start with them, and once Ifeoma joins us, she will be able to pick it up from there. So I'm just gonna have Kunle kick us off. So if you don't mind just telling us, actually that's not the first question, I'm sorry. Tell us about yourself and how or why you get into real estate, if you don't mind. Kunle, I think you're on mute.
Oh, so sorry about that. So my name is Kunle Ali. I actually started my journey with real estate through my father. He had his own mortgage company as well as real estate company. I actually started, doing property management for him while I was in high school. So that's really my first interaction with real estate. From there, after my father passed, one of my uncles actually came to me and he said, since you've been around it your whole life, maybe you should actually look into becoming a mortgage loan officer. And that was one of the best things I ever heard. And it helped me to get to where I am right now. So that's really how it started.
All right, thank you. So just more of like something you were around for so long. Bernard, how about you? You can tell us why you got into real estate and how you got started in the real estate.
Go ahead, doing?
Good. How you doing? We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so how I got started in real estate is came to United States when I was about 18 and living in New York, just seeing, renting and watching different people, one of my landlords, how she lived, and then working with some other developers, I was always curious. So that's what gave me the bug to start asking questions. But coming from Jamaica, we used to own our own house. So I always curious to learn how to own a property. So that's what got me started, just being curious and watching other people who were doing real estate in New York. That got me thinking and wanted to do it. So that's what sparked it for me.
All right, thank you. We actually, me and Ifeoma caught up during the week. We did an IG Live, and I'll speak on her behalf. She started real estate because she wanted a way out of the 9 to 5, and I guess for her it was more of financial freedom.
Definitely the freedom part was the main thing, but that's what sparked it for me, though. Trying to figure out what they were doing, why that lady was not working. She didn't have a job,
Yeah. Yes, thank you. So yeah, we're just gonna keep this moving. I just want to go through these questions that people have sent to us during the week, and so that way we can have our people that are here live I'm trying to give time for them to ask. So I'll go through these questions and you guys can take your time to answer them. And but so the next question, we're getting more, it's getting more interesting. So this person wants to know, what do you think about the current housing market? Should we wait? Should we buy? Should we hold? Should we refinance? I like this question because it's something I ask myself, like, and it's just kind of like, I don't want to say it's difficult, but I guess you guys can give us a better, or your insight. What do you think about the market and what are your advice for people at this current market, real estate market? Kunle, you can guess that. You can answer that first too. Sorry. Kunle, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. So as far as like the market right now, yes, prices are higher than what they were in the past, but that's what happens, as years go on. Price houses that were purchased in 1980, they're not going for the same price even in 2012 or 2015. That's just how everything goes. Is it a good time to buy? Yeah, it's still a good time to buy. It depends on it. All it really depends on is if you're buying right? Because I have a client right now, or I dropped off a closing gift for them today actually, and they got, I think, like 90,000 in equity from day one because they purchased correctly. Now, if you're if you're buying the house, and it's way above what it's for, the value of the house, then that's not a good situation to be in. Then you're putting yourself in a corner. But again, it's all about when you're buying. If you're buying right, that's really essentially it. As far as refinancing, it's always a good idea to refinance only if you have a plan for it. For a cash out refinance, if your plan is to go and purchase another property, that makes sense. If your plan is to pay off student debt or any debt at all, that makes sense. To just go and take the money and put it in your bank account, that doesn't make sense. Another good reason to refinance may be to lower your interest rate. Interest rates now are lower than what it was 5 years ago. So that may be another reason to refinance, or do a rate and term, which is basically you reducing the amount of years that you have left on the mortgage, right? Maybe you have 15 years or 20 years, let's say, left on the mortgage. You want to reduce it to 15 years. That's very well possible. And that makes sense. So this way you cut down the amount of time that you have the mortgage or you owe money.
Okay, thank you. I like what you say about the refinance part. I know it's something a lot of people, especially now these days, you see it everywhere on the commercials, on TV. And I'm guessing it's part of the reason is because of the interest rate right now. Right.
And again, it's all about the game plan. If you have to have a plan in order to move, just like with anything in life. You can't just go through life, being blindfolded. You have to have a plan and know how you're going to go about everything. That's all it's about.
Right. So you mentioned the cash out refinance, and I know that's something also Menard also is involved. It does, but it's a method, and I will let you get to that. But can you explain that to us, what a cash out refinance is, for people that may not really understand?
Okay, so as I mentioned, I just dropped off a closing gift for somebody today, and from day one they have 90,000 in equity, just literally under 100,000 in equity. In that situation, like I explained to them today, you can now pull from that 90,000, right? So basically, it's the amount of the value of the house compared to the loan amount, right? Whatever is in between, that's how much you have. That's otherwise known as equity, right? So you, again, doing a cash out, you can now use that or utilize that to then again take pay for your child's tuition, consolidate your your debt and whatnot. There's a lot of useful things you can do with a cash out refinance. And even honestly, the smartest thing to do is, like, again, consolidate debt or even purchase another property. So this way, you're making the most of your money.
Nice. And I think that's actually one of the questions that our members have sent to us to ask, which we might get to later. But I would just kind of like see what Manette thinks about this question, or what do you have any thought?
Yeah. So in any market, whether it's up, down, or sideways, there's always opportunity. And you just have to figure out what are your goals in that market, and figure out what's the strategy. Because you see, some people want to use the same strategy in an up market versus a down market. So you have to be able to be flexible to change. Hold on one second. Lisa, me dey on the Zoom.
Well, now you have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
You hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. So you have to be able to change strategies when it's an up market versus a down market. So like when it's a down market, it's easy to find properties, but it's harder to find money, right? But when it's an up market, it's harder to find properties, but it's easier to get money. So then if let's say you're a newbie, right, and you want to get started, if you're not started in the down market, let's say most people want to get started in an up market, right? But what happens is the up, when you have an up market, if you don't have experience in finding properties and understand how to negotiate, then you might not be able to get or acquire properties. But if you are in the game, working hard, changing up your strategies, learning different techniques, then you will have opportunities, whether if it's up or down. So in this market, yes, it's tough, but the people with more experience, they'll find properties because they have realtors or they have wholesalers that they have contact with from years ago or whatever, and they'll find properties. So that's why it's always good to collaborate and just always try to learn new strategies to get properties. But the key is get started, right? You don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait, because at some point it's gonna go up, whether now or 10 years from now, right? Yep.
Okay, I like that. Wait, what do you say again? You wait to buy. You buy real estate and wait.
Sorry. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as you're not over leveraged, then you're good.
All right. I think that's gems right there. Thank you. And I think this actually will take us to our next question that I want to so guys, I know some people just join us. We have set of questions that during the week we send out to members, and they send questions to us, and we're just asking these questions to our panelists. And if you guys have any questions, eventually you can raise your hand or just send questions to the chat, and we can answer the panelists can answer your question. But first, we'll go through these questions that we've collected over the weeks. So I think this actually is a good one from. I'll let Menat take this. You don't have to go in full details, but someone wants to know what are the steps to becoming a homeowner.
What are
I know that can be complicated, but just maybe give them a quick.
One of the steps to becoming a homeowner is you gotta be able to save up that down payment and closing costs and get your credit at the right credit score. And it's always good to get in touch with a mortgage broker, and try to understand what they are looking for, right? And you don't want to just go with one person. You want to shop around, just like you're shopping for a car or clothes. A lot of times people just go to one person that they got recommended to, and that's not a good strategy. You want to talk to multiple people, but you don't want to talk to too much and get confused, right? But you want to talk to you got different mortgage people. People who are in-house, they only work with one bank. And then you have other people that's brokers that they'll shop your information around to get the best loan, right? But you want to contact those people to find out what are their requirements, what are they looking for, what type of credit score, what are the different type of loans out there, right? But once you contact those people, they'll let you know what you need to do. And then you just got to figure out to get your credit score right, if it's not right, and get that savings up. And you need, the bank is always looking for a what they love is the W-2, right? Like regular banks, regular mortgage, people who's giving mortgage out, right? They really love to see that W-2. Anything besides that W-2, you're going to get higher interest rate. They're going to put you through a lot of hoops. So if you're self-employed, or, you know what I'm saying, 1099 or whatever, the people who are giving loans, the banks that are giving loans, they don't like that. They put you through a lot of hoops. And so if you want to get into that house, having a W-2 that your income is right where it needs to be to get the house that you're looking for at the price range, that's what the bank loves to see.
Okay. I know you're saying everything right now, and this sounds like a conversation me and Kunle have had several times. So I know he has a lot to say about this when it comes to getting people. So I'm just gonna let you take this because I know you have a lot to say about that.
I mean, pretty much as far as like the whole home buying process, or I would basically say the first step is getting pre-approved, right? The documents that I would actually need are your 2 years W-2, your 2 most recent bank statements, let's say your 2 most recent pay stubs, as well as your driver's license and social security card. Some things that he said are somewhat accurate, but in terms of like self-employed and business owners and whatnot, it's not that banks don't like those people. It's just that we have to do a little bit more work in terms of gathering the tax returns, just calculating the income different. It's just two different things. Being employed and self-employed, 2 different things. But to kind of bring it back, once you do send me those documents, I then do the income calculations, run the credit, see exactly how, if you qualify, and if you do qualify, what do you qualify for? And at that point, if everything checks out, I'll then send the agent the pre-approval, and then the home search begins. At that point, the agent is going to start sending you houses, scheduling appointments to see houses. And then at that point, you're going to also be sending in offers. And then once your offer gets accepted, at that point, you go into attorney review, which is basically both attorneys, the sellers and the buyer's attorney, going back and forth in terms of negotiations and whatnot. And then at that point, it's just, we're just going to continue with the whole mortgage process and then just try to get you to a closing table.
Thank you. Yeah, that process is not one of my favorite process, but I'm just gonna say a little bit off topic. I worked with Kunle when I was closing my investment property. He pretty much held my hand throughout the whole process. I'm just gonna, not because you're on here today, but just because, and that's why I've referred so many people to you, because you make everything easy. You explain every step. Because that process, I'm sure a lot of people here understand that. Or if you don't, it's good. That's why it's good to have a good mortgage broker that really understands you and is willing to take the extra mile. So,
and one thing I'll also say is that the process is tedious, right? And it's at times it's like, why are you asking for these documentations? But it's the whole thing about it is the government puts guidelines in place that we all have to follow. And it may not make sense, like, come on, I have to write a letter explaining something. Come on, what is this? At the end of the whole process, I always joke with clients and tell them, it's at the end of the day, I don't have to ask for your arm next, right? I don't have to drill, I don't have to get more blood or anything like that. It's all done. It's a lot, but it's all worth it at the end.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that. If you might just join us, we actually have 2 questions on the chat, but I kind of want to go through the questions people have sent to us throughout the week, because they send us questions, and I know some of them are online right now watching, so they would like to see their questions asked. So we'll go through the week. What I will do is I will just pick one person, or I'll put a question out there, and whoever wants to answer can go ahead, and we can just have different people answer different ones. Then we can get to the live questions that we're getting, so we can make sure everybody's good, and feel like the answers been that questions have been answered. Well, also, if you might just join us. So if you are good, you can say hi to us, and then we can.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Sorry, I'm late. I'm a realtor in Atlanta and in Massachusetts, and happy to join you guys and talk about real estate.
All right, thank you. So I think this question asking about when is the right time to refinance. I think we kind of touched on that earlier. So I don't know if anyone, if you do you want to maybe touch on that? I think we kind of talked about that earlier in one of the few questions that we had.
Yeah, that's a great question for a mortgage broker. But yeah, for refinance, yeah, definitely when interest rates are low and you're trying to get a better rate. That's one thing I could say. I'm not sure what Kunle, you probably already expressed what you feel on that. Yeah, that's your area. Yeah.
But it still connects with you, right? Because they could always do a cash out refinance and then come back to you and then purchase another property, right?
Yes, that's how it will now come back on me. Yeah. If they decide to cash out and use that cash towards another property. Yep, definitely.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll move on so we can get to the questions that we're getting right now. This is a good question, actually. Anyone can take this, but it's asking, what are some of the tax advantages of real estate investment? I think I will have Menard talk about that. I know he does a lot of investment. So
yeah. Investing in real estate has a lot of tax advantages, right? So a lot of people always make game after Donald Trump and thinking he's what you would say now, he's finding a loophole or he's cheating on his taxes, right? And at the conference, I wish if I had remembered to talk about that, because the tax code is a bunch of incentive for what the government wants you to do, right? So people who provide jobs, right? People who provide housing and have businesses that provide service, the government is not in that business. So they're gonna always give incentive for people to do business, because on the other hand, a lot of people are afraid to go into business, right? Are scared, are not sure. So they have to do that because most people want to have a job, right? They trained us to have a job, but the tax code is just a bunch of incentive for the government to get people to do what the government wants them to do, right? And then people who have a 9-to-5 is like they penalize them, right? And the more money you make is the more they tax you, right? So real estate is a perfect vehicle to just not pay a lot of taxes on your income, right? Whether it's passive, well, if you're flipping houses, you're not going to get that break, right? But if you're renting and you invest in real estate, you have a lot of tax advantage. You have a 1031 exchange. When you refinance, think about this. When you refinance, you don't pay taxes on that money, right? So if you sold a house and you made $40,000, $50,000, they're going to tax you about 25 to 30% of that money, right? Maybe even more by the time you check up all your closing fee and city taxes or all of that stuff, right? But on that same $40,000, $50,000, if you refinance it, that's tax-free money, right? So you always want to go for the refinance or the 1031 exchange, where you take that money from the 1031 exchange and put that into so the tax is deferred for another time, and you put that money, they give you a certain time, you got to set it up with a lawyer, and you put that money into a new property and you don't have to pay any taxes on it, right? And you know, when you're getting passive income from rental property, that's really taxed at a low tax rate, and you could always not play, but just the rules. You could write off a lot of stuff, right? So your regular lifestyle vacations, right? You could go on business vacation, right? Like when we went to the seminar the other day in Atlanta doing, we can write those stuff off because it's considered as a learning, right? It's considered as school. So you write that trip off as an expense to learn about real estate or learn about business, right? So, and that's a vacation, right? Your cars, your whole lifestyle could be written off, right? Your private jet, whatever it is, there are ways to write those stuff off, and that's what the rich do, right? And that's a strategy that a lot of us who are African people, whether you're from the Caribbean or the continent, you know, we don't understand that it's not a loophole. They're not cheating, right? It's just penalizing people because the mass of people want to get a job. They think it's secure, right? So once you want to do that, the tax code is to penalize you not to do that for a lack of a better explanation. But it's really penalizing you because the more money you make, the more they're gonna tax you. But if you become an investor, you invest in real estate, or you provide housing or jobs, you get those tax breaks, and it's awesome. And you know, yep.
Well, I have a follow-up question on that. Anyone can answer this, or you can take it, Minad. So when you're saying, you know, I understand the part of deducting business expenses. So if I have a property and I have renters, but does it have to be like owned by my business, or as long as I have a property that I'm using and I have renters, I can still deduct those expenses, or it has to be a business owned property?
No, it doesn't have to be a business owned, because once you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to, but I stand corrected that maybe if it's in a business, you could probably get more write-offs, right? But once you got a rental property and you're running it as a rental, you're going to get a lot of write-offs, right? Because once you're fixing the property, once you get doing capex, you know, like big renovations, you're going to be able to write those off, right? But you really have to run it like a business to really get those write-offs. So I would think that having it, pardon?
And I say keeping receipts and just, you know, writing everything down, and you know, that's
right.
big. Yep.
Yeah, keeping good books.
Yep. All right, so let's move on, because like I said, we have more questions coming in actually. So, and I still want to get to people that want to ask questions on live. I want to get to these questions that people have asked us during the week. So anybody that's willing to take this one, how do you add value to a property without over renovation? I'm assuming over renovation probably means without doing much to it, but you can still add value. And this might also have to do with refinance. I'm guessing we're getting a lot of refinance questions because of the market right now. So any thought on this? Maybe if you're, since, you know, I know this might not be a question, but I know you haven't, you know.
Yeah, I would say to try to avoid over renovation, you want to try to look at comps, you know, other homes on the market. If you don't have access to the real estate MLS, you can probably go on Zillow or something. Try to look at the pictures of other homes and the type of renovations they're doing in that environment, because, you know, you definitely don't want to over improve and then not be able to make your money back when it's time to sell. So that's one good way. And then you can also ask a realtor too. You know, a lot of them will give you free advice, you know, so just to get an idea of the type of renovations that would go with your environment.
Okay. So what are some of the things you would, a follow-up question, what are some of the things you would, I guess, suggest to do to a property, you know, that can maybe quickly increase the value of that property?
Okay, you saying like things that can be done and it quickly increase the value of a property?
Right, right. Because I'm thinking this probably this question. So.
Yeah, a lot of good things. If it has a basement, you finish the basement flooring, upgrading the flooring. A lot of people don't really care for carpet. You could do hardwood or LVP, granite countertops, it just depends, certain things make a big difference. A good paint job, on the interior, especially brighten it up. Some homes that have like multicolored in each room, but you get it one good color, it makes those are some certain little things make big differences, like that.
All right. Because some of us we watch too much HGTV and
Yeah. Yeah, you can't do everything on HGTV, especially if you're an investor. Don't try to make it too personal. Do what the market demands, what people are looking for each area, each market. Don't try to make it too personal, because then you might end up over improving or just like doing designs that people are not gonna be willing to pay for.
I actually, someone told me this before. Actually, it might be Mena, I don't remember, but I think it was him that told me when you're doing renovation, it's not about what you like. It's about what the tenants or the people. I don't know if I think we had that conversation a while ago, and I think you actually mentioned that. And I think the same thing if you're saying right now, right?
So yeah,
Mhm.
should I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's just to be neutral, right? You want to be neutral in your colors, neutral in your granite, neutral, just everything, just be neutral in your renovation, right? You might have a little stuff that you put in to make it pop a little bit, but you want to stay neutral with your renovation. And just when it comes to getting a refinance, when that appraiser comes out, right? The curb appeal, like the small things count, right? So cleaning up the yard, right? Cleaning up the basement, talking to your tenants or you as the homeowner, make sure your furniture you don't have a lot of clutter, right? So they get a good vibes, they get a good feel when they come in to that property, right? Put some flowers, go to Home Depot, buy some flowers, put them on the front, right? And then return them once you're done, right? Just that's what I do all the time, right? Because when that appraiser walk up on that property, I want him to get a good vibes, him or her to get a good vibes, right? And the first impression is what's going to carry them through. But cut the grass, cut the bushes on the side, in the back, whatever they could see, clean it up, right? And a lot of people don't look at those little things when the appraiser is coming. And I never did the appraisal. Well, I did before I got more experience. I did appraisal before, and they didn't come in good because I was still painting or you was still working on the property. You want to make sure you finish everything is paint, everything is ready when they come, right? And give them a good feel by flowers and have a nice curb appeal, clean up, brush the yard up, and get rid of the clutter on the inside. Those are besides the big stuff that the lady had spoke about before, the kitchen, the floor, paint, and bathrooms. Those are the big things.
Right, that's a great point. I did an appraisal earlier this year, and I actually spoke to my tenant and say, I was just not like, there are people coming today to appraise the house. I think I gave him, I forgot how much I gave him, a little bit change, like you just said, just make sure everything is extra clean. Because, like you said, the appraisers, they come in, they're human beings. You don't know what day they're already having. What if they already have a bad day and they come to your property and it smells, that already, they might, so
Yeah, that's a good one.
You don't live there, the tenants,
Yes.
So I told the tenant, like, hey, I have an appraisal happening today. I just need to make sure everything is clean. I think maybe I gave him like $50 just to, motivate him a little bit, and it went well. So I totally agree with that. Those little details goes a long way. So once again, we'll move too quickly with this. In the chat, I posted if anybody, people that are new to this community wants to join our community and stay on top of all the information we have, all our events, just fill it out with your email and your name, first and last name, is in the chat box. So moving on to the next question that people have asked during the week. This one's asking, I think we might have touched this also, how to qualify for mortgage using rental property income. I think I will let Kunle take this. This sounds more of like a refinance. There's a lot of refinance questions today. So
No, I think I think this question is basically asking like for a multifamily or something, if I'm not mistaken. But how do you qualify for a mortgage using rental property income? I mean,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
So the way that it works is for multifamilies or like 2-unit properties, 3-unit properties, we're able to use, let's say the expected rental for the other unit is 1,400. We're able to now add that to your own income to allow you to qualify for more. So let's say for a single family, you would qualify for 300,000. Now that a multifamily is going to bring you income, you may qualify for 400,000, 450, because we're factoring that as like expected rental income.
So is that after you've owned the property or while you are applying to buy it? So if I come to you and say I want to buy a 3-family, will you count those two as my income, or is this if you already have an income from those properties?
No, so even if it's vacant, even if nobody is living in that property at all, we're going to use 2 of those units, right, as rental income, right? We can't use all 3 because you're going to stay in one of the units, but the other 2 units we can now add it to your income. So this way it would allow you to qualify for a lot more than you would if you were just looking for a single family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sounds good.
So, and just to kind of give you an idea, so let's say both units were 1,400 each, then that would mean that we're qualifying, we're putting 280, I said 280, 2,800 towards your income.
Okay. That's good to know. And I think you want to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the question I would want to ask, what's his name again? What's your name again?
Kumle.
Kuman, right? So I got a personal question, right? So like for somebody like me, right? I don't have a W-2, I don't have a 1099, but I have rental income, right? How could I use that rental income to purchase a property or another property? Is that possible?
Yeah, so there's different programs that we actually have, right? So there's asset-based programs where we can qualify somebody just solely off of bank statements and assets, seasoned over 12 months. So when I say seasoned, we have to like have 12 months of bank statements, but there's different strategic ways that we can, use rental income and whatnot to get you into the new property. For instance, I have a client right now that they have a 2-family right now, but they're looking to purchase a single family, right? We're using that property, in rental income to qualify towards a single family. Why? Because on their tax return, they're actually, filing it, so we're able to use that and take it to apply for the new property.
Right. Is the tax rate? Go ahead.
No, please continue.
No, I'm saying is the interest rate higher with doing that type of?
So doing like the client that I'm talking about now, you're saying is that interest rate going to be higher?
Yeah, if you're going to take the rental income as your income, right? As long as you file it through the right methods, right? Is getting a loan through that method of income, is the interest rate more?
So so there's 2 parts to that question, or 2 parts to that answer. So one, if we're doing it as in a situation where you have, your job and then you have the rental income, then no, that the rate is not going to be higher. But if we're doing everything based solely on rental income, then yes, then your rate would be higher because that's more risky, right? Even the asset-based programs where we're qualifying you based off of, bank statements as opposed to your income, like, again, we're not looking in that type of situation. We're not looking at your W-2s, your pay stubs, or anything. We're just looking at your bank statements. And those type of programs, yes, the rate is going to be higher because, again, they're more riskier.
Typically, how much more percentage interest rate? Like 2 points, 1 point, typically?
It's hard to say. Just because, like, the way I explain it to people is, if you were to break God forbid, you to break your arm today, right? The doctor's still going to run tests. He's still going to do X-ray and everything like that, right? To see exactly how to diagnose everything and to properly tell you exactly what's wrong with you. It's the same exact thing. It's not just one size fits all type of situation. But typically, from what I'm seeing, maybe like 1% more. But again, it's all dependent on the rental income and everything. as well as the person that's that's looking to qualify.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Kunle. I think that was a
Yeah.
great information. I feel like that actually answered my questions too. So thank you.
So stop being selfish.
We got some questions on the chat. We'll get to them. This is the last question from we've got from our members. So I'm happy we got to the last one. Then we can open the floor for like people here live, and then also people that are so this I don't know if anybody wants to take this.
This question: buying properties in major cities versus second and third tier cities. Like, what they mean by that? Like cities that's not as
Popular
like,
or
popular,
populated.
populated.
I guess
Oh,
so.
I really feel like you should just focus on your budget pretty much, because some people can't really afford to buy up north and then they end up buying down south. Atlanta in the last few years has really grown, so there's properties that were 100,000, 200,000 that you purchase it. Now they're like worth 400. So a lot of times, some of these cities that are not as populated, you can really buy a property and then the value just increases over time. So just do what you can to at least take advantage of being an investor and getting a feel for it. So of course it's great if you're able to buy in more populated cities, but don't let that hold you back from getting into it. Don't let that hold you back from getting into it.
So I think this question, I think it came because we posted something during the week from a real estate session we did last year, and Tosin Oduwole is a big real estate investor also.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about how he thinks you should buy properties. Well, it's not like he thinks some of the mistakes people make is they only want to buy property in their community, like people that live in New York, people that live in let's say, I don't know, those major cities. But he was saying if you go to like the Midwest, for example, you can buy properties cheaper. And I think so I figured this person sent this question in response to that, like, because someone did ask me that also, like, isn't just supposed to be preference, or if I don't want to deal with property manager? And so some people will say they don't want to buy properties. They want to buy a property where they can just walk to and check on. So what do you guys think about that? What are your thoughts on that? So I think that's
I just want to say one thing as far as that, session that you had with Tosin. I mean, that he did say some like very knowledgeable stuff and he gave some good information, right? Because a property that you see in Brooklyn, right, you can buy it for, let's say 900,000, or multifamily 900,000, $1 million, but you could probably have done a lot more with that money if you bought something in the South or something like that. So I just wanted to like mention that. That's actually a valid point.
So what do you guys think about that then? I mean, I know it's by preference. Someone did DM me that day and said, well, what if I don't want to buy something far? But I know, and also I've had this conversation with people that said, I don't want to deal with property managers. I don't trust property managers. So what are your advice? I will throw this at Menard. What are your advice? Like, do you think, just stick to your neighborhood, to your backyard? Or if your backyard is like Kunle said, Brooklyn right now, to buy a 2-3 family, you have to spend at least 900 to $1 million. And so what do you guys think about that?
So I was in that position, living in New York City, trying to get into real estate, and it's I tried to do it from there out of the state, and it's very hard if you don't have the right information. But if you have the right information and you understand how to build a team, because you have to build a team to go out of state, you can't do it by yourself, right? So you need a good realtor, you need a good contractor, bunch of contractors, bunch of realtors, and then you have to figure out which one is going to be the right one, right? Realtor, property manager, and sometimes the contractor could be the property manager, because a lot of screening and a lot of different stuff you could do online, right? Once you learn and know what you're doing. But it's going to be easier to start close to where you live, so you could get, learn the ropes of what you're doing. And you know, a lot of times people will call me from New York and they'll ask me, you know, how much is the rent? And I'm kind of scared to tell them what's the rent, because if they don't hear a big number, they're thinking, oh, that don't make any sense. But they're not understanding return on investment, right?
Yeah.
So you could spend 60,000, 70,000 to close on 100,000 to close on a property in New York, right? And they're looking at the appreciation and they're saying, oh, these properties out here don't appreciate, right? So New York, Boston, California, those Miami, those are markets that you would call a high flying market, right? So a lot of appreciation when the market is hot, and you're gonna can cash out or refinance or sell and make a lot of money. But linear markets, right? They just not stagnant, but they just chug along. They're not going too high, they're not going too low. Yeah, they go low, right? But when you're thinking about cash flow, return on investment, the amount of money you're going to spend to make cash flow, you're going to make way more cash flow on a tertiary market, a secondary market, more than a Miami or New York, right? For the amount of money that you're going to put out versus the return on that money when you put it to work, you're going to make way more money outside of those big cities. So, you know, if you're looking to rent properties outside of the big high flying markets, that's where all the action is when it comes to cash flow, right? So, you know, you wanna read books, you wanna go on bigger pockets, read books about investing out of state, how to build a team, how to network and find the right people to put on your team, get them on your team, how to talk to them to get them to work with you, right? And how you could help them bring business to them also. So it's not only you looking to take, but you're looking to bring value to them also once you go out of state, right? Yeah.
What you said makes a lot of sense, and I think that's exactly what Tosin was saying. You know, because I remember in that, like Kunle said, that was a great session. He was talking about, you know, if you're still trying to chase New York market, that was people that make money in New York have made that money 15 years ago. But if you need to
That's
live,
right.
you know, that's fine. But if you're talking about investment property, you need to find, and it makes sense just in general for any investment, you know, in stock market, you buy low, you sell high. You know, look at crypto. You know, people that really made money in Bitcoin, I know people that are buying Bitcoin today. I mean, maybe Bitcoin will still go up to $1 million by 5 years from now. Great. But people that already made their money, made that money already 10 years ago. And that's the same thing with real estate. Any investment is the same concept. You know, you buy low, you sell high. If I had a conversation with Menad, and I'm always talking to these people, and when he actually told me about a property in a city in Connecticut, Waterbury, and I was showing him other properties there. And then I said, you know, I'm scared to buy here because people say this is like, you know, bad neighborhood. And you probably don't remember, but what you told me was, I need to start buying properties there now, you know, because this is gonna become, you know, gold eventually 10 years from now. And that's usually really how you have to. I mean, there's some risks to those, you know, neighborhoods, but that's why you do your research and find the right property. So I think this is the last question from questions that we got throughout the week, and then I have some questions on the chat that I'm gonna go by really quick. If anybody, you know, has a question, please, you know, raise your hand so we can I mean, through the raise hand button, you know, literally raising your hand. And or you can unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself so you can ask your question, because we would like for people to actually get interactive. But before we go, I would like to just throw a plug in. I mean, someone did mention this. You cannot do real estate without getting a good credit. So one of our partners, she fixed credit. You can, if you want to write our information, like if you need to fix your credit, because that's one way you have to get there through you know, you have to first get pre-approval. That's one of the first steps. If you go to any agent, the first thing they will ask you is, what's a pre-approval? And you cannot get a good pre-approval if you don't have a good credit. So this is a very important step in the real estate. Yes, there are other ways you can do this, but, you know, and not just for real estate, having a good credit is very important. So if you take a screenshot of this, or take his phone number, or email, or reach out to us. She's one of our partners from African Business Club. And I know her personally, she's a good person. Kunle, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, Donya, I just wanted to actually say something about credit too. The reason why is because I know a lot of people hear mixed information. I mean, you could buy a house with 600 credit score, but I mean, obviously you're not going to have the best of the best rate, but that's what you could use that to at least get your foot in the door and then refinance later once your credit has increased. Another thing too is as far as how student loans is, a lot of people think that student loans is negative. They can never buy a house if you have student loans. But the actual fact of the matter is we only use 0.5% of the loan balance, right? So, you know, it's really a small amount, right? So let's say your student loans balance is 10,000. We're only calculating, you know, like $25, right? A month, you know, towards your, you know, debt to income ratio. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because I know it's like a lot of misinformation, you know, that's said, or a lot of concerns when it comes to credit as well as student loans.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. That's very important. Once again, guys, I put on the chat, click that link to put your information so you can join our community. We have a lot of events coming up, a lot of great sessions that are coming. I'm excited. We actually have an announcement to make at the end of this. You guys are gonna love the announcement. It's gonna be something everybody wanna be involved with. So so like I said, moving on, if you need to fix your credit, we'll go to these questions, and any of you guys that want to take them, just let me know. So the first question we got asked on the chat says, please, what do you advise for Canadian housing market? A number of us here are from Canada. So I don't know if you guys know anything about Canada market, if you want to take that question.
I don't. The only thing I would say, because I had one of my aunts that actually lives in Canada, that she called me concerned about something that she, that one of the banks that she was using. Just make sure that you're getting a fixed rate mortgage, right? You do not want an adjustable rate mortgage. That's also known as an ARM, because they were basically trying to give her an adjustable rate mortgage without her even really realizing or understanding what that entails. They're just going to give her a good rate to begin. So the way adjustable rate mortgages work is they give you a very low mortgage, very low rate in the beginning. And as years go on, it could go up, it could go down based on, the market, right? And for instance, they're offering her a rate below 2%, right? It sounds good, but in the long term, it doesn't make sense, right? So that's the only thing I could say about that. But as far as the whole market itself, I'm really not too sure about that.
Well, that was a good information, actually. I didn't know you do that there. That's great. Come on, Minad, you guys know anything about Canada market so we can help answer this question that we got asked?
Sorry, I was going to say something. Hi, everybody. This is Bidemi. I don't know a lot about the market in Canada, but we do have somebody that's a part of ABC that could probably have a lot more. Dr. Addie. I don't know if maybe you want to contact her and see, because I know she's making a lot of big moves in Canada, in the surrounding cities and states and stuff, and she would have a lot of information about that market.
Actually, somebody else. He's gonna be hosting. He's gonna be our panelist for the December 19th session we have. He's talking about crypto, but he also buys a lot of properties in Canada. So that's a great point. So you can just join our community. We connect everybody together in the community, and we can definitely connect you with Dr. Adi. Thanks, Bidemin. That was great. All right. If you remember anything on Canada?
No, I don't know anything about the Canada market.
So next question. Kunle, this person tagged you. So they said, how can I use other people's money to buy real estate?
That's a very great question. That's a very good question. So there's a lot of different things, right? So for instance, we have down payment assistance programs, right? One, we have a down payment assistance program where they cover 10%. I said 10%, $10,000 towards the down payment, right? There's another down payments program where they cover the whole 3.5% of the down payment. So the only thing you actually have to be, you're responsible for is the closing costs, right? So there's a lot of different things that we can do to use other people's money, keep you liquid, and go about it like that.
All right, thank you. Maynard, I think I'm also throw this at you. I know since you have experience with buying properties, do you have any advice or any way to, if you want to talk on this point?
Yeah. So, if a lot of stuff that I talk about is coming from the investor side or investor mindset, right? So, when you're trying to get into a property besides your residence, right? Your primary home. If you're getting into investment properties, you could use, once you have enough experience, because starting out is going to be hard for people to trust you if you don't have a track record. So they might not want to lend you their hard-earned money or the money they have in their 401k, right? But if you understand how to find good deals and you have, let's say, one flip or one rental under your belt and you were successful, it's an opportunity now for you to step to friends or family who have money in their 401k, and you let them know you're willing to pay the penalty or whatever it is, and you'll pay them interest on that money, and they'll lend you the money, right? And then you have hard money lenders that's it could be individual or it could be an institution, small banks, right? They'll lend the money for a short period of time at a higher interest rate than the typical, right? And they'll charge you points and stuff, and they'll lend you the money to purchase properties, right? So but you could always use friends and family money to buy properties. And I went to a seminar the other day. I haven't got into it yet, but there's ways to get build up your business credit, yeah, right? So instead of using your credit, you're building business credit. You're getting business credit cards that's not going to report on your personal credit. And those credit cards, I get to realize that a lot of them start out for this first 6 to 1 year, no interest, right? As a startup thing, right? And then you'll get credit cards for 10,000, 15,000, 5,000. If you get a bunch of them, you could cap that. I'm learning so much from these people, right? I just need to get into the course, but you could cash out those credit cards and have cash where you could buy properties with the that's coming off the business line of credit or the credit card that you get through your business, right? So that's always a good strategy to use other people's money from either the 401k people who have savings or business credit lines or credit cards.
All right, thank you. Actually, the business credit is big. We had a session last year on building business credit. Go on YouTube. If you go on our page, you see a session we did on business credit. We actually will bring that back. It will be one of our master class next year to go in full details, because you're right, there's a big opportunity that we are not even tapping into yet when it comes to that.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, so that's big. That's big.
And doing, you could get flyer miles and hotel, fly for free, because if you're doing business, you
wagons from their business credit from
pardon?
There's something with buying like a bigger truck. I don't know the full details on that. And so people actually buying G-Wagons on business credit, no lie. I think, it gives you like credit for buying like bigger truck for business. And I really don't know the full details, but we have to do a masterclass on that. I can't wait.
Isn't that based on the weight or something like that?
Yeah, the weight, for the tax.
I was going to say, so the thing with that sorry, I was just going to say the thing with that is, so there's a couple contingencies in place, but basically if you have a business, you can buy certain types of cars, but they do have a weight limit though. It has to be, I think, don't quote me, but I think it has to be like, you know what, let me not even say it in case it's, it's really ridiculous.
Now we want to hear it.
No, but it does have a weight contingency. But what you can basically do, depending on how you work it, is you can write off the whole car, like literally, because you're using it every single day for work, or you can write off a percentage every single year until the car is completely written off. But there's a lot more in the back end and stuff like that, but that's the general summary of it.
Yeah. So yes, it's a lot. It's a lot we still have to tap into, but we will get there. That's why we're here. African Business Club, just to normalize financial literacy. Let's get our community together. And once again, guys, I posted. I'm gonna post it again. If you didn't, if you've not yet part of our community, just fill this form out so you can get all the information on all the sessions we will have, and I will show them later on before we end today. And we have a big announcement coming that, that's going to start the new year right for everyone. So let's get to the next question. I know we run out of time, but this is I don't want anybody to feel like we didn't get to their question. Actually, so Frank actually has his hand raised, and the next question is from him. So maybe I'll just have Frank just unmute himself and ask that question anyway. Frank,
Yeah, hey, thank you guys. No, this is awesome. This is kind of something that I'm kind of interested in. So I got a question for I guess Kenley. One my issue is how do you as an investor get the banker's line so once opportunity comes so you could actually make that offer? You get what I mean? Like, is there a way that you could talk to different bankers to make sure that everything is all set? You have amount of money that you need to be able to purchase. So when the opportunity comes, you just know, hey, I need my 20%. Once I give my 20%, the bank follows with the rest. And then is there a way? What are steps that you could do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much getting pre-approved, right? So, I mean, me collecting all your documentation and everything like that, and then seeing exactly how much you qualify for. So when that opportunity does present itself, at least okay, this property is going for 400,000, but I know I'm pre-approved for 450,000. So I know I can, make that work. Another thing that I like to do with my clients, and Dwayne could probably attest the same thing, is any property that my clients are very interested in, I tell them to send it to me, right? Because I want to see the taxes. I want to kind of get an idea of the property, if it's going to work, right? So this way I can tell you what your monthly payment is going to be, so you know what to expect, and also you know what to expect as far as the down payment as well.
All right, Frank, I think you're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Also, to piggyback on that, you talked about using, we talk about using other people's money, and especially if you already have a property that has equity in it. How do you kind of use that? Whatever, I guess, what's the percentage? Do you need the 80%, or can you take about 85, 95 and to use it to buy another property? Can you kind of explain a little bit more? I have one. I want to use the equity that has bird in it to kind of purchase another one as a down payment. Kind of use that as a down payment to also get another loan to purchase another one.
Okay, so basically, as far as that, right? For investment properties, right? You could pull from the equity, right, to purchase the new property. That's fine. As far as the loan to value for investment properties, the loan to value has to be about 80 or 75%. And what that means is, for investment properties, your down payment, you're looking at between 20 to 25%, depending on the property type, right? But you can definitely, pull from your equity to purchase another property. That's not a problem at all.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
I probably need to get your number too, because I have more questions.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll put it in the group in the chat room, right before we're about to end.
All right, cool. I'll ask Dwayne too.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate you.
No worries.
No, definitely. I mean, that's why we're here. It's all about collaboration, working with one another. There should be no reason why we should be doing business with other people if we have a community where we help and we can help each other. And I would say, when I've worked with Kunle twice and I've sent people to him, each time I work with him, it's like I feel like anytime I call or text, even there's a time, maybe too much information, but I had to do like a gift letter. And he literally wrote that letter for me, because when he first told me, I was like, man, I was getting frustrated. And Kuna was like, don't worry, I'll send something tomorrow. Then in the morning, the letter, he just said, just sign it. I hope I'm not getting myself in trouble, but
No.
that's kind of stuff you get when you work in the community. You collaborate with one another. So it's just working with random people. And so yeah, so let's get to the next question. This question says, Akuba, do you want to ask the question or do you want to just read it?
Yeah, sure. Hi, good evening, Tex and Kunle. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. So I just had a quick question. I've been going through the process of getting pre-approved. However, I didn't want to use, all of my liquid cash towards the house. So I've been going through different options, and one lender suggested to me to use 401k savings. So I know that can also in a way be detrimental to future savings, but I just wanted to get your opinions on using 401k for your closing and down payment.
Yeah, I think using 401k, I think that's a great idea. The reason why I say that is because, like I said in the beginning, it's all about the game plan and what you have, with the plans that you have for the future, right? So if your plan is building portfolio of properties, then even if it's somewhat detrimental, like short term, long term, that it's more beneficial, right? So pulling from the 401k, that is not a problem. I think that's a great idea, to purchase a property, your first property, especially if you don't have that money liquid at this very moment. Let's say you only have 5 or 10,000 in your bank account right now, but you have, like, I had a client that had close to 100,000 in actually over 100,000 in his 401k, and that worked perfectly. We're just able to pull that, and then he purchased his house. So yeah, that's good, a good idea.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Kunle. I think that's a good answer. For me, I would say the 401k. I know people say, the 401k is for retirement, don't touch it. But I think it was Robo Kiyosaki that said something about 401k is for people that are planning to be poor when they retire.
Yes.
I'm not saying
no, because I've read something like that too. That the 401k was actually started. There was a reason why it was actually started, but I know exactly. I think we read the same thing.
Right. So I'm not.
Yeah.
Look, don't get me wrong. And like Kunle said it perfectly, right? It's all about having a plan. If you have a plan and you need liquid to buy, if you buy like 10 properties, that will give you like cash flow every month. You're set for life. But if your plan is you don't want to get involved with real estate, your plan is to just save up your 401k and become a millionaire by being an everyday person, that's fine too. I'm not knocking it off. But like Kunle said, I think that's perfect. It's all about what's your plan, what's your goal. But I've taken money out from my 401k. I don't say it out too loud because people will penalize you for it. I didn't take the money out to go shopping or to go on trips. I took it out to make other investment. So that's really what matters. Now, do you have something to say before we go to the next question? Or?
Are you sure you didn't use your 401k for your trip to Ghana? Are you sure?
That's a business trip. That was a business trip. That wasn't me on the trip. It's a business.
There you go.
Right there. Yeah. Now, do you have anything to say to that, or before I go to the next question?
Yeah. So taking money out the 401k is always good once you have a good deal, right? And if you're buying a property that you're going to renovate or you're going to add value, you get it below what it's really worth, and you could bring it up to what a nice shiny one is. Then and you could refinance. You could always pay back that money, right? And then if you're not adding value and you're just collecting the rent, then you could just use the rent. If the rent is enough, you could use the rent and just pay back that after 1 year or so, right? So, but at least you get yourself in that property, right? So you don't have to be scared once you have a good strategy and a good plan to pay it back, right?
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
I love what Kunle said in the beginning. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's all about the plan. you know.
And doing another thing too is like I have a family member of mine, right? For years I've been saying to her, you know, she has a high paying job, like 130 a year. And I always said to her, let's invest in real estate. But that was before I had any type of success. And her husband got sick the other day, and now her whole life is turned upside down because they was just betting on this job, this high paying job, this 401k. Now the husband got a stroke, he can't walk. You know, it's just crazy. And it's like, it's sad. But I said to her, have you ever researched what's the lifestyle of somebody who is on who's living off the 401k, or how long can they live off of it, or you know what I'm saying? I'm saying, like, since I came to America, that's stuff that I always research. Like when I go to Home Depot or Walmart and I see old people working in there, I always ask them, hey, what's going on? Make friends with them and start figuring out why are they so old and still working. And come to find out that some of them had good paying jobs, but the 401k didn't work out, or the retirement, they cut it off, or some crazy stuff like that. So I'm always interested in money and finding out how do I not work when I'm 60, 50, 70, you know what I'm saying? Because I see too much people doing that, you know?
Sure.
And a lot of people got to go overseas. So the place where they live, whether New York or wherever, they cannot retire here. A lot of Caucasian people also, they got to go overseas to retire. They cannot retire in the States, right? And a lot of people who got their nice paying jobs, they're not looking out in the future and seeing that a lot of people in their jobs, they're really older, nurses, doctors, and if you start paying attention, you're gonna see that why are they still here? It's not because they want to be there, right? So
that was you hit it right on the target, man. That was amazing. 100%.
All right, I think this is the last question, then maybe I'll open the floor if anybody wants to ask. But once again, before we go, I put on the chat, if you want to, if you're new to this platform and you want to join our community, just click. And also, if you want us to advertise any of your product, or just like how we have, you know, this person with she does credit, she can help you with your credit. If anybody has any business they want us to promote for them, just send an email to africanbusinessclub2020@gmail.com. And we can, you know, promote your business as long as it's a legal business. And I'm just kidding. I'm sure everybody's business is legal. But so the last question we have is from Romy. If you're still here, do you want to ask, or you want to just read the question out? I know you have 2 questions. Is Rome still with us? Oh, you want to just ask?
No, I don't believe so. Oh no, Rome is still there. Yeah.
Okay. I guess maybe they don't want to talk. I could ask. So the first question. Romy, are you here? Okay, let me see.
She said just ask the question.
All right. So what states are good to buy investment properties? And the second question is, how does wholesale real estate work? So I will throw this at Ify on my I think it's my
Okay.
Yep. If you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll answer the wholesale question. So pretty much wholesaling works. This is how it works. So pretty much you'll directly contact the owner of a home, get under contract with them to only sell through you. You'll be the person that's pretty much buying it from them, but you're not really buying it from them. You're just going to get the contract with them and at a low price. And then you add money to that price and try to sell it for a higher amount. So say you got the seller under contract for like 150,000. You're going to use that contract to just know that, okay, that's your contract. No one else to sell the home. And then you're going to reach out to prospective buyers and try to sell it to them for more, maybe like 200K. And then when they buy the home, you get the 50K. So that's how you make money off of the real estate without owning real estate. So that's pretty much what wholesaling is.
Yeah.
I heard real estate agents don't like wholesalers. Is that true?
Yeah, you know, well, it kind of is. We have a love-hate relationship with wholesalers because it's like they're kind of acting like real estate agents, but they're not licensed. So they do a lot of unethical things.
Some of
And
them.
then and then some of them, yeah, not all of them. And then some of them get greedy and they'll try to like sell a home for really overpriced, or they'll take advantage of homeowners, that's maybe elderly. They get them to get on the contract with them for like a really low amount, and then try to and then they end up like imagine this, you're selling someone else's home and you're getting so much more money than they are getting, from the home, or just taking advantage of people. So that's the issue, is a lot of the unethical things they do because they're not licensed, and they don't have a license at risk. Us that are realtors, we have to be careful, and we're more, we have the education, we have the resources, and then we're licensed too. So we're trying to, look out for you. So that's the issue we have. But we also like wholesalers too, because they're directly going to all these homeowners that most of them really actually want to sell their homes. So we can partner with them and help them match with buyers. So that's how we, that's what makes us like the wholesalers, to get access to the off-market properties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it. Because I looked into wholesaling a while ago, and even me and I would talk about it. We had this thing called the deal machine, which is really cool. But I mean, I know you mentioned they're taking advantage, or maybe they're helping. So I guess
Some of them are helping people that don't want to list their home on the market and go through that whole process. So they're like marketing their home without listing it as off market. So it just depends on the person, really. Even with real estate, even as realtors, some of them are terrible. So it's just about their personality and who they are as a person. Even with the license, they can screw you over as well. Same thing with wholesalers, but it's not a lot of wholesalers, because anybody can be a wholesaler, really. You don't have to pass an exam. So that's where it can be iffy in terms of like their behavior. But for the most part, I think wholesaling is great. It can be great. It depends on the person you're dealing with, but it could be used as a great tool if you don't want to put your home on the market and just sell it on the market.
It's about how much work you want to put in, because it requires a lot of legwork. So I definitely agree.
It does, because you have to get wholesalers, you have to get access to these owners and convince them to sell their home if they're not ready to, or at least get to them, because a lot of people are, especially now with the pandemic going on, and there being a shortage of homes. Everyone's that owns a home is pretty much getting calls like crazy of people trying to sell their homes for them. All these wholesalers, and even some realtors too are starting to do it too. So yeah, it's a lot of legwork, but you can really make money off of properties that you don't own. That's the beauty of it. So you just got to figure out your own technique on how to talk to these owners and get them to trust you enough to go on the contract, really.
So a follow-up question from Ron. He said, is it a good idea to get started in wholesale, just to get into the industry, or what should I do to get started with everything?
If you want to get into wholesaling, it's so a lot of people try to get into wholesaling just to get started into the industry, but it's kind of difficult unless you really got a good mentor, or there's resources and programs out there, but it can be really difficult initially, because it's definitely different than being a realtor. It's not exactly the same as a regular investor that will get funds and purchase a home. You're not really purchasing the home, so it's I know a lot of people don't get into wholesaling and don't really succeed, but if you've got a good mentor, good education, you know what you're doing, it's something where you don't really need to have money initially. You can just jump into it and learn on the way, and you're ready to put in the work, then why not? But I think it's faster to just try to be an investor, or whatever else you want to do, or be a realtor. Depends on how you're trying to get into real estate. But yeah,
I totally agree with that. From my experience, I mean, from my knowledge, wholesaling can be good, just like you say. It can be good because you can get into real estate even if you have bad credit, you can, because nobody's running your credit. Even if you don't have money, because all you're trying to do is get cash buyers, and then you get houses that are very off-market deals that are very good. People will go to like the court and find people that are going through a divorce, maybe a death in the family, or look for houses in the neighborhood that nobody has touched, or and that's why it's a lot of legwork. Once you find those properties, you reach out to them, then you have your cash buyers, and then you have a contract with the person that wants to sell the house. Let's say a 10-day contract, and say, I can get you 100K for your house, cash. That's how you sell it to them, because you tell them it was cash and I can sell quickly. Because when you go through a mortgage, mortgage broker through a bank, sometimes it takes like 45 days, 30 days to close. But you can close with cash like in 10, 15 days. So some people might like that. Then you get a cash buyer, then you can say, hey, I can sell you this house for 120. So just like that, for you in 15 days, you make 20K doing, I don't want to say doing nothing because you did the legwork, but with no credit scores running, with no any of your money in it, you make 20K. So that sounds good. However, what I think about wholesaling is, maybe Menard or Kunle can correct me if I think with this current housing market, it might be harder to get a wholesaling deal because it's a seller's market right now. The way to make your money in wholesaling is getting good deals that you can buy for a good price and you can sell high. But right now, all these houses are selling high to begin with. So how do you make your money? So
I think that's definitely a Menard question.
Yeah, so a lot of like for me over the years, all my properties I got it through the MLS, right? But wholesaling is something that I want to do, and I got started in it, right? But the key with wholesaling is you got to be a good marketer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be a good networker, right? So you got to build relationships with these people who got, because right now that's the only way to really find a good property now is finding an off-market deal, right? So you got to be able to look at houses that's dilapidated, rundown, right? And you want to figure out who is the owner, right? Through the tax records, or you got to skip trace and find who are the owners, right? And once you figure that part out, now you got the next part of it. Besides, you got to be a networker, a marketer. Now you got to figure out who is going to get on the phone, right? Because you got to be able to talk to these people and let them feel comfortable with you. So they want to sell you that property if they're in distress, right? So if the house is in disrepair, a lot of time people think they could hold on, they're going to get some money, they're going to figure it out, and it just goes on. And if you keep that relationship with them, then one day when they get fed up, something bad happened to them, they just out of it. Today they're like, I don't want to deal with this property anymore. They'll think of you because you keep following up with them, right? So that's the strategy of really wholesaling, right? You got to market, you got to find the people who are in problems with their property, right? If they owe taxes, if they got blights, right? They have people in eviction. You want to contact those type of people who have some type of distress. And once you figure out who are those people, now you could start sending them letters, you could call them, you could send them email once you get their information. And then you have to have that right person to talk to them. So if you're not a salesperson or you can build good rapport with people, then you're not going to be able to close those people once they contact you, right? So that's what it comes down to. And then a lot of people say wholesaling is no money, but you just have to have a little bit of money to do some type of marketing and research. But it's not a lot of money, right?
That's a good point because it needs a lot of marketing. There's a lot of people doing wholesaling. So if you want to stand out, you have to, you're right, to spend some money because you have to market.
Yeah.
Some skip trace.
You put out the bandit sign, like the yard signs, you put them Home Depot in the neighborhoods. So you could we buy houses cash. I know people see that all the time. That's a wholesaler putting that sign out.
Yeah, no, for me, the way I look at it, I think Ephraim also mentioned this, it's all about time versus money. Wholesale, if you don't have the money, but you have the time, we're putting it, because wholesaling requires a lot of time. It's not, when people talk about wholesaling, you see on Instagram, all these gurus talk about, I made 20K in 20 days or in 10 days from no money, no credit scores. Yeah, it's cool, but they're not telling you how much time they put in. That requires a lot of time. And I call it time versus money because if you have money, which some people here have like high-paying job, and you don't want to, because I also look into these things and I say, okay, what fits my personality and things I have going on? What I'm doing when I just buy and hold. I buy properties, put renters in there, and I get my cash flow, and I just I don't forget about it, but I'm not like there every day or going, I don't have the time for that. But if
It's
you have
not active.
exactly, if you have the time, then hey, do your rehab, buy a house or do wholesaling. So I think it's all about time versus money. Which one do you have, and which one can you really spend? You have to spend one of those, to make it. Never just with real estate, anything in life, either you
Yeah.
spend time or you spending money, And I think right. So the last question we have here from Ron, it says, what states are good to buy investment properties? Anybody?
So yeah, the states that I would say are good to buy properties are well for rentals is states that's more landlord friendly, right? So and states that, well, I'm not in one of those states, but reading and listening to podcasts, down south and places that the weather is nicer now, and you don't have that much snow. Those are good areas. But you know, good areas, you just got to do your research to find those areas that got those pockets of good uh, cash and cash return on your investment, right? So, but I would think that down south are good markets to invest in, right? And that's what I think. So with that.
I mean, I would also, just to piggyback off of what he's saying, also you have to, like, especially the part that he said you have to do your research. I mean, there's places that there's going to be a new factory, a new employment that's going to be rolling out. So you have to pay your attention to that, because if Amazon is going to build a new facility somewhere, then obviously people are going to also need somewhere to live, right? So you have to pay attention and constantly do your research, check the news, announcements and whatnot, because it could make sense. It could be a diamond in the rough, right? But you have to be able to put two and two together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that makes sense. And also Africa, invest in Africa.
No, I have already, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think I'll just leave the floor open. Our time is fast spent. Does anybody in the audience that's like us today have any questions? You can unmute yourself, and we can take one more question before we close. And Rome says, thank you guys for the good information. So anybody, any last question, any last remarks before we close today? All right. So with that said, I'm just gonna once again, for people that are just joining us, this is African Business Club. Our goal is to normalize financial literacy, promote collaboration and sharing of ideas in our community. And if you look at the chat, there's a form you guys can fill to join the community. We have a lot of information, a lot of people in the community making moves, and the goal is to have everybody collaborate and work together. And you'll be surprised what people are doing. And also, if you want have any business you want us to promote, just send it to our email, africanbusinessclub2020@gmail, and we would love to promote your business and have more people collaborate with you on that. Our upcoming sessions, December 5th, we have another panel discussion coming up, wealth management. They were also on our conference that we did last month. These people are amazing. I can't wait for this. And then December 19th, we have the big topic coming, crypto. I mean, everybody's been talking about crypto. So it's only right we bring it to our platform. This guy, he makes a lot of money from dealing with crypto and real estate. So he's going to be here to give us any updates. And he's actually willing to share, what he does and how he analyze, what to buy or what not to buy. So I think it'll be a great session. So just stay tuned, and we'll, send the Zoom link out. And then January 29, we want to start a new year the right way. So we have our financial planning masterclass. It's going to be a masterclass. It's going to be everything we're going to be talking about everything we need to get the new year started. So I'm excited to announce this. The team is already working on this, and we have a lot in stock for this. It's going to be a great session. We will send the information out as it comes, but just watch out for this flyer. Save the date. It's going to be on a Saturday because it's masterclass. It's not like our regular Zoom sessions. It might be like a 2 or 3 hour session. The details, we're still working on the details, but we're going to touch on all of these topics, financial planning, investment, how to analyze investment, stock market, budgeting. We're going to do like a workshop on budgeting, life insurance, and then we'll talk about retirement. Everything you need to do and you need to know to get the new year started. We all need that. New year, new me, right? So we got to really,
Absolutely.
so we really got to like take it serious, not just say it. So we will help you guys, we will help everybody out to start the new year right by just doing this masterclass. So before we let everybody go, I would just want to say thank you everybody for joining us on this Sunday. And also thanks to all our panelists. We usually end every session with our final question, and I will have Kunle go, Ifroma and Manad go, in that order, or whatever order you guys want to go. But my final question for you guys, what we usually end every session is a common sense finance tip. So you guys give us a common sense, like I said, common sense is not so common. So something that is, you think we should be doing that, but maybe we're not doing it. So I will let Kunle go first.
Okay. What I would probably say is going back to the credit score and everything like that, keep your credit cards at 30% utilization. And what I mean by that is, if your credit card limit is $1,000, you should not be using more than $300. Why? Is because it's basically, everybody knows that you're working, and if you're like your limit is $1,000 and you're using 900, it looks like you desperately need that money, and it's going to negatively affect your credit, right? So just keep that in the back of your mind, as far as like the utilization. And that would be my tip.
Thank you. I think that's really great. Someone just said this before, that the bank don't give you money when you need it. So everything, right? So if your credit card is like over 30%, they're like, oh man, this guy needs money so much.
Exactly.
But the moment you don't need that money, the moment, I'm gonna be honest, I fixed my credit scores, and that's when I started getting all kind of banks sending me credit card. I'm like, no, I don't want your credit card.
and the personal loans too, right?
Oh yeah, it doesn't stop because now they see that your credit score is good. So that's a great one. If you're do you want to give us a common sense finance tip?
Is it, you said me?
Yeah, you could go ahead.
All right. So yeah, one of the big ones. Well, let me just say, anyone of you guys who want to follow me, it's at textreal25@gmail. So it's right here. So textreal25@gmail. And my common sense tip is educate every day, right? You have an iPhone, you have an Android, go on it and listen to podcasts or listen to an audiobook and get ready to take action, right? Hello?
Yeah, we could hear you.
Yeah. So once you start getting that information, you're gonna change how you think as long as you're taking it serious. And a lot of people don't really understand that they need to educate every day, right? And that's my tip right there.
All right, thank you. Educate. I know you did mention once during the conference, you said YouTube University. That's
YouTube University all day.
good thing. Yeah, but in the podcast, YouTube podcast, reading books. Kunle, do you mind typing your Instagram handle on the chat? I want to follow you. And also, if are you still with us? We'd like for you to give us a common sense finance tip before you leave. If you're still with us, maybe not. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that will end our session. And that's Kunle's Instagram page there if anybody wants to follow him. And also Kunle post a lot of tip finance tip on his or just real estate mortgage wise on his Instagram. So it's always great. I learned a lot from his page. And Menard also go through, he actually bring us to his because he's on the job every day, like doing renovation and stuff. He give us like tips also. So these are great people to follow. So follow them, you will learn a lot from just following their page. And also follow us at ABC Financial Community. We also give tips.
You said we also give tip.
Follow us also. And thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks to our speakers and everybody that gave us their time on this Sunday. And with that said, I would like to say, let's remember, we always say this, we are all kings and queens. So please, let's treat each other as such. Let's respect one another and let's do business with one another. It's very important. That's how we're gonna grow as a community. That's how we're gonna build. And that's how we also, the next generation will learn from us. All right, so thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time. And we'll see you guys on the 5th for our wealth management topic. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Adios.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Blessings stay for my yard, and like a dad, it could be, it could see, it could feel, because the blessings follow my